Hello everyone, thank you for joining today. Ashley here with Tolton Art. We are going to be going through the illustrious process of alla prima painting. So what does alla prima mean? It is the Italian word for at first attempt. It means you're painting wet on wet, you're doing it in one sitting, there is no revisiting, and if you're new to oils, this may seem a little bit overwhelming. You may have tried this and it doesn't necessarily go as planned. And that's because there is a process to doing it properly. Some tips for painting alla prima. I would say mixing some of your colors ahead of time are gonna be really important. Kind of setting one or two shadow values, one or two light values, a mid-tone, that's gonna make the whole process go quite a bit clearer, and then already you've mapped out a bit of your colors, so it's easier to just block things. If you're doing something like a portrait painting, it oftentimes helps if you start with the background and then the hair, and then you work towards the skin and features. In landscapes, it can be beneficial to paint the larger distant shapes first, for example, a sky or a hill, and then work towards the foreground. This helps keep things organized, and it also will allow you to then work edges back into relation to what's going on. Step one would be capture your initial impression of the subject. Quickly and in a blocky manner, work over the canvas in a way that allows you to kind of tap into your painting instincts, and it allows you to cover the canvas quickly. This isn't thick, it's done in a pretty thin layer, and it's just a general map out of your subject. And I do keep this pretty blocky so that I can work edges later. Account for mixing on your canvas. So inevitably, because you're working wet on wet, there's gonna be some measure of blending that goes on. So when you're mixing your colors, account for the fact that a lot of your halftones are gonna be obtained by mixing and blending edges on your canvas. And just know that you don't have to mix every color ahead of time, because a lot of that is gonna be done when you're working these paints next to each other. Save the dark, light, and vivid accents for the very end. In the initial stages, we're gonna be putting down mostly midtones, and at the end, you're gonna be able to put that final layer with kind of the deepest darks, the lightest lights, any last little bits of vivid color. You're also gonna wanna paint fat over lean. It's gonna be easier if you paint thin underlayers and then thicker on top, and using your brush very, very lightly on all preceding levels. If you push too hard, you will disturb previous paint layers, which is a look. So you can use that to your advantage when it comes to blending edges and combining values and transitions. But if you are looking for those crisper details, make sure you're using thicker paint and on a lighter, you're only bringing it on the top surface. It should be mentioned that alla prima does not need to be done quickly. Just because you're painting alla prima does not mean that you have to just start throwing paint on and do it super fast. You can take all day. The only point of it is to do it in one sitting, but one sitting can last for a very long time. So don't be afraid to go slow. When painting alla prima, there will also always be a level of unpredictability, no matter how much you can control paint. It might be the way the colors mix on the canvas, edges getting lost, or some areas drying faster than others. Whatever the case, don't let this discourage you. Embrace the unpredictability of alla prima, and oftentimes we can learn a lot from those little surprises that happen. All right, and that is it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something and enjoyed watching the process unfold. If you're interested in this painting, others like it, or anything about me, any of the tools that I use, all of that can be found in the description box below. Thank you in advance, and as always, thank you for joining, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.